where the Chinese will be cautious about destabilizing the region because they're such a big part of the region. The Iranians, on the other hand, and we know we have an office in Jerusalem, of course, but we have done work on the Iran issue, the Iranian issue, and Iran, the approach to Iran under the Trump administration was isolate, build coalitions around them that support Israel and Israel supporting them, UAE, Morocco, Bahrain, Sudan. I mean, more coming. Change the whole dynamic. Now, I always start with the fundamental abuse of a society. Here's the fundamental abuse of the Iranian society. Persians are great people, really great people, great history. I mean, tremendous history, just really great people. We know a lot of them. But let me tell you what you don't have in Iran: diversity of any kind. Let's start with religious diversity. You're a pastor in Iran, good chance you'll spend 6 to 12 years in prison once or twice in your ministry. If you're an American pastor, by the way, and you happen to be in Iran or a dual citizen of Iran, guess what you get? You can get life imprisonment at Evin Prison. That's not pretend. That's real. Gays and lesbians, they throw them off of buildings. Christian pastors, they have shot them. Now, that's Iran. Now, this president has isolated Iran and crippled them economically. As I look forward, one of the things that grieves me most about the election, Rick, was the reshaping of the Middle East that I know you were a part of, that we helped on the outside on, that was really coming together. And now it's the old guard back in. It's Obama 2.0, and you know with Iran what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, look, let's not forget Kosovo and Serbia with their new historic agreements with Israel as well.
Right.
Look, I'm very concerned about the engagement with Iran. Let's be very clear now. There is this idea that Joe Biden has pushed. It's called consensus. Now, it sounds like a really nice word, but consensus just means that the Europeans or the UN Security Council, 14 other countries, get to water down U.S. policy and decide what we do. So instead of having a potent U.S. policy that's America first, you have to go to all these other countries and say, well, what do you guys think that we should do? And it's the lowest common denominator of a policy. And that's what they call consensus. And they've tried to build up this idea of consensus. Now, look, as a diplomat, I love consensus if it's going to be something that the United States is going to improve our security upon. We need to be able to be very firm about forming alliances around our policy, not letting others water down our policy. And that's where we're going with Iran, is that the Europeans want engagement. They want to be able to say, if we just engage a little more with Iran and maybe do some trading, that the regime and the mullahs will just suddenly see the light of day, and they will start moving towards the rule of law, capitalism, and greater forms of democracy. Now, let's look at what we've tried with China. 20 years ago, we did that. We thought, let's engage with China. Let's put them into the WTO, the World Trade Organization. Let's see if engagement would actually work. I'm all for engagement. President Trump has tried engagement with the North Koreans. But at some point, you have to be smart about your engagement to have a benchmark and to say, did our engagement work? I think that we need to face the music, and we should have faced the music about 15 years ago, that trying to get greater cooperation with China by getting them into the WTO didn't work. We have seen human rights abuses get worse. Look at Hong Kong. Look at our companies that have their technologies stolen. WTO has not only failed to stop the theft of Chinese of U.S. intelligence and U.S. technology, but it's also allowed the Chinese to be able to pretend like they're part of the international community working in cooperation when they have absolutely come at us in every possible way. This is where we're going with Iran. This is what the Biden team wants. They're going to start talking about consensus and engagement on Iran, and we need to stand firm against it.
Of course, China and Iran already have them. There's already a nexus. They're already connecting. Now, Rick, we've got 3 minutes left in this segment. I always like giving people hope, because the one thing I don't want is people we're just going to say, oh, this is horrible, this is terrible. We have to take concrete action, which is now, if the Senate stays conservative, okay, stays Republican, you're going to have a better chance on some of these. But foreign policy issues, as you know, because you've dealt with them, the president has a lot of authority. How do we tell our folks that are millions listening to us right now, hundreds of thousands watching us, how do we engage when an administration is taking contrary positions?
Look, I believe that transparency is important. So we're going to have to push the administration. And maybe that means going to court and taking people all the way to the end to say, you must show us or stop doing something that you're doing. So we need legal challenges. I think that it's incredibly important for organizations like ACLJ to be funded. This match is unbelievable. I can't believe that we're getting the ability of someone to say, we'll match anything that you can do in December. So I would just say to people, take action. Prayer is fantastic. Talking about it on social media is amazing. But you got to take action and be a part of the ACLJ because we are taking action. I would not be a part of this organization if it wasn't about action.